Absolutely.
So I'm here today with David, and the reason I wanted to have him here was that I saw his post on social media about his experience with the tenants, and
Yeah.
it was disgusting. It was very disturbing, and I thought, hey, this would be a great topic for a couple of our videos and to help people to not get into the same situation. So David, you've been a great influence for me. Always enjoy talking to you. You always bring
Absolutely.
great energy. You have a good vision. But tell me more about what happened with these guys
All right.
and
So,
how
so
did
the
you?
latest, the tenancy nightmare was when we had this two-bedroom unit that was available, and we had like multiple people, multiple families look at it. We had a nice younger couple, and I was gonna give it to them until my wife was like, "Well, we have these other people. They just lost their house in a fire. You probably know her." And it's like she went to the same elementary school as me. She's only a few years older than me, I think. And it's like, okay, we're gonna give it to them. And there was people that vouched for them, and they're like, yeah, they're good people. Not, I don't know, I don't remember if they said they were good people, but they basically gave them a uh like vouch for them, right? So we're like, okay, we'll let you in. And it was the first month, it was okay. But then after that, it was just a nightmare. There was so many times where police were called to the place where they were fighting outside. I had people on the street take videos of my tenants fighting on the middle of the street, and it was just turned into like this big party house. And now I'm unable to go inside because they're not allowing me inside,
Oh,
and yet they won't pay me rent. And it's just one of those things, like my hands are tied. And so
yeah.
and
So what?
so we
So tell
didn't
me
know what was
now.
going on in there.
So you gave these guys. You were the nice guy.
Yeah, we were the
Gave them
nice
a
guys.
chance, right? You're trying to
Absolutely,
help.
yes.
And now it's like your house is you know that it's not good. They're first.
Not to and I had an appraisal lady come, and we needed to get in the upper unit because I had to purchase on another place. And I told the people for a week straight, guys, this is the date. It's so important. No problem. The whole time, yep, no problem, no problem. The time comes, they don't answer the door. And I just lost it. I was
Yeah.
like, guys, that was so important to me. I don't care the condition, just let them in, just to so that I can move on to my next purchase, right? Like, and
Yeah.
it's like, no, people just gotta gotta mess with your stuff all the time.
So
And
now tell me, now you're in this situation. You know that probably it was not a good idea to get these guys as a
yeah,
tenant.
yeah, it was not
How
a good
long,
idea.
how long did that take you to get in there and see if
So I
some?
didn't. They sent me pictures themselves. They never let me in. They're like, "We'll take the pictures and we'll send it to you." So then they sent me pictures, and at the time it looked like they had just like moved in. So it could have been pictures from when they had moved in, but it turned into just a nightmare. And the kid was in and out of jail the whole time. Um,
Oh, jeez.
he beat up anyways, he beat up the girl that I rented it to so bad that she had to leave the house. They took over, the other people took over the house. This is the second time people have taken over my house that I didn't rent to.
So
So
hold on a sec. So you rented to someone and now there's different people in there.
yeah, like they're friends. They're like, one time I went there with police and 11 people came out of it one by one. It was like, guys, why? And every single time they would come one by one down, and there'd be these big, I don't know, whatever, partying people. And
So now how did you take over the property? Because this is, so
okay,
now
so the
it's
guy got,
disruptive
so
and
he got taken to jail. He was in jail, and
oh
I had given a notice on the door. This is like the fourth notice.
yeah,
Failure to pay rent. The only way it's the only thing
yeah.
to do is like failure to pay rent, and then go towards the Tenancy Act, which I've never done. Luckily, he was taken to jail, and then he's not actually allowed back from Prince Rupert. Police said you cannot allow back.
Oh,
and so
wow. That is
he's not allowed back to Rupert with and so he but in the meantime, the house, he was gone on, he said July 6th, But between July 6th and July 11th, I don't know what happened. I was in Kelowna. So I was, I was in Kelowna.
So now
And
tell me, like, so you got these guys in there, they're doing lots of damage. Now
yeah.
you can get in. Describe me the situation
So
where you kind of kick the door in, you're trying to
we
get.
took an axe. We took the handle off the door and we kicked the door in. And mind you, this is probably like the seventh time the door has been kicked in. The previous six times it was the cops that did it. And now it's like me, I'm doing it. So we go in there and all I see is trash bags. Upstairs is it's just full. I just look up the stairs and there's nothing but trash bags. And I'm like, guys, it's bad. Guys, it's bad. I get upstairs and I'm like, guys, it's really bad. And it just looked like a complete disaster. And I was like, why? Why do I do this? Why do why do I even do this? But it's been since like it happened like 4 or 5 days ago. It's the whole place has been ripped apart. So the
Right.
carpet's gone, everything. It took 2 bins, which cost like I don't know, maybe $2,000 just for garbage removal. But now we have drywall now. Now we have a full bathroom and a kitchen and now all new flooring. So it's like, guys, it's gonna cost me 20 G's. And it's like, and they already didn't pay me for
Right.
like months of rent and nothing but nightmares. And people think it's like, oh, landlords are they're gouging, they're making so much money.
Yeah.
Guys, this is the second time it's happened to me. I was in Mexico one time and I had rented out a place to my friend, a poker friend that I knew for a long time. I get a phone call, I'm in Mexico. Dave, the house has been taken over. And they they trashed that house. They trashed. They like there's $100,000 plus worth of damage. Like it was bad. And I'm in Mexico, and I had to deal with that while I'm in Mexico, and I have that house paid off. And it's like great. A couple years before that, rewind, I had a double wide trailer paid off. I went all cash offer.
Yeah.
A year after I rented, a few months after I rented it out or whatever, I didn't have enough money to put insurance on it because the insurance people wanted me to do a few things. So I took the gamble, and they burned it. They burned my uninsured
I
place.
remember that. Yes, that was.
Yeah, and it's brand new now. I haven't rented it out for like 2 years or like 15 months or whatever, but it's completely brand new. So we sunk 100 and whatever back into it after already buying it for 100. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where's the money?
Yeah.
My tenants are only paying me 1,500, or that's there's a discrepancy.
Yeah. So now let's go back to and I saw some of the videos and hopefully we'll be able to get it on there. So you're walking up the stairs, you see the trash everywhere. There's like graffiti on your wall.
I'm like, yo, what gang is this? How do I join? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, it's like I've become numb to it. Like, usually when people buy houses, it's like it's a huge deal or whatever. It's like now I've become numb to it because it's like I just feel like I've been spending so much money on just renovations and dealing with just headaches. It's just become just like it's just a headache, but it's like that I created a new housing company. So I'm kind of doing this full time now.
Nice. So let's get back to what could have you done to maybe avoid this, right? Because I think that for the listeners, it's going to be good to this could happen, but what can we do to
better background check.
Yeah,
way better background check and so the stories like you gotta fall. Don't believe everything a tenant says because maybe a lot of time it is true, but there's times where they will lie no matter what. The guy that was there, they said they had a kid in the house and the kid was taken away 12 months ago, and their excuse this whole majority of the time when I asked them like, oh, where's rent or this, that, whatever, my kid this, my kid that, and they actually never had a kid because they have a kid, but they already taken child services took away the kid already a year prior. So every time there would be an argument, a child would always come up in the conversation. It's like, guys, there's no child. Where's the child?
That's crazy. So there is, I mean, that's a big one to do a good
background due diligence. And you know what I like, but the thing is, like, people don't understand is that, okay, yes, we house good tenants. Where do the bad tenants go? Michael. Who houses the bad tenants? They still got to be housed, Michael.
Yeah.
And so that's where the housing companies come in and say, you know what, we'll take care of those people because we understand that's a headache. And later on, appreciation will come.
Yeah. And I think that, you have and there's a couple points there, right? So if you're a bad tenant, right? You know that you can't really say that. So they learn and they're really good at telling you.
They're good. They're smart. They know the Tenancy Act. I've never gone to the Tenancy Act with any of my tenants, but they know that like the back of their hand, right? Yeah. Every time there's something, boom, this is like 12.1B of this rule. It's like, yo, I don't even know what this is, but like just stop messing with my stuff. So most of my tenants never pay me rent on time, but that's not the issue. Just keep my stuff nice. Yeah. I understand. I'm a father. I get it. Just don't fuck up my shit. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And so a couple things, and I wanted to maybe a suggestion for you. I don't know if you've done it, but some people do, you obviously check the references and do a good background check. And then I don't know if you tried it, or I've heard that a lot of people are doing that. They would sign a lease for first like a month or two.
That's right.
Right, just to see if they're a good fit, and if they're not, then at the 1 or 2 month, you're like.
But the thing with that is, I do that, but then it's like, God, guys, it's more of a headache for me to kick you out and get new people in than to just keep you. And you'll fuck up my carpet. I'll just have to replace it.
Yeah,
that's where it's like the less headaches for me, even though I'm taking the headaches on, I can still mitigate some of the headaches by just being a good landlord too.
Yeah,
and like there's one person destroyed my house on 6th East here in Rupert. Like there's so many people that they destroy everything. I'm not saying they're bad or anything, but you get enough tenants that somebody's gonna fuck something or mess something up.
Yeah, and what I admire about you, David, is that, and when I met you first, you had this idea that, hey, I gotta become a landlord, and I'm going full in, and you really did, right? Like you had. You bought like in 1 year, I don't know how many properties.
We did pretty good that 1 year, and then I sacrificed a lot too. I had a nice house for myself. I sold it to go move back in with my in-laws, with my newborn daughter and my wife, just so I can buy 3 other properties in that little small time frame.
Yeah. So how many properties did you get at that? It was like you were getting like 6, 7 of them.
Yeah, at that time we. In that span, it was like 6 or 7, and now we've sold and bought, but now it's like we're double digits in properties now, and I'm just going. I got another deal on an 8-plex. I just put in the offer in today,
nice.
And so so hopefully we get that one, and then it's like I'm not rent evicting. It's when people leave, I'm gonna upkeep my shit, and I'm gonna redo it, and then that's just how it's gonna be. I'm not kicking anyone out. That's the thing, right? I'm still young, so I can take a 5-year, just whatever. When I started this, my tenants only paid like for a 3-bedroom $500, and another one was like $650, but I paid hydro, and now those same units are going upwards of 2,000 and nothing included. So like I understand everything that's been happening in the last 11 years because since I've been buying for 11 years now, right? So it's crazy because we never asked for any of this, but it's what inflation causes.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen it here as well, right? It's just like especially
Absolutely.
the last 2-3 years, it's been just through the roof, and that's the problem, right? The people that are they have a lower rent, they want to stay there, right? And then they don't want to, because now they know when from the $1,000 that they used to pay, now it's going to be twice as much.
And you know what? Now their jobs can't sustain that.
Yeah.
And so there's an issue. There's a very, very big issue with this, and it comes with the people lending money at like next to nothing. People are, that's what it comes down to, is like people are lending money next to nothing. And so anybody can go get a loan if they have a little bit of good credit on something that's cash flow positive. Simple. And it's cheap.
So tell me about like the vision that you have. And, I know that you've mentioned now you're kind of targeting the people that maybe can't really afford or do really, like have their own places, but
Yeah.
willing to take the risk and provide for those people that are kind of in the need, right?
Absolutely. So I'm trying to accumulate as much as I can, and with my housing business, I want to, if I can get 100 houses, 200, 1,600, the more the better, and I'll take care of the people like I have been, and not everyone likes me, but because there's this guy that just messaged on one of my Facebook links like, oh, what about the $800 you stole from me, damage deposit? Well, dude, you had a dog in there and the whole carpet is nothing but hair. I'll give it back to you. Just don't make it my headache. You'll get it. Come clean it.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It's literally that simple. Just clean it up. You get your $800, but they think they're just obligated to get it back. It's like, guys, I'm tired of having to like babysit people. It's like, you're only a couple years younger than me. You guys, they got poor jobs, and it's like they always want to take.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty simple, right? You can either hire someone or just do it yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you expect to get the deposit back, well,
exactly.
There's like do your part, and
there's guys, they're the dog shed like so crazy. I'm walking and my socks are full, and I'm like, I ain't giving this guy anything until he comes cleans this up.
Yeah.
And he tries to fight me and this and that. It's just like, oh God, guys, whatever. I'm over it.
Yeah.
It's like you don't get respect. It seems like you won't get respect until age is a factor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're very young, and I think that it's not that many people have as many properties and being a landlord to basically to your friends, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a crazy business, but it pays off. It honestly, the wealth that it can create is exponential, right?
So tell me a little bit about the growth. How did you, so you did a big sacrifice, and I remember that because I was.
Yeah. So the growth, well, I mean, I do a lot of stocks and all that. So the growth came as, I was doing well in other aspects of my life, and all I did was, instead of coming to Kelowna and buying a condo for $700,000 on the beach with with a boat launch and this, that, I literally just spent $630,000 in cash on 4 shitty 3-bedroom townhouses. And that I have to go change all the water lines. The kitchens have to get changed. And, that's me. That place has been dormant for 4 years. So now it took a person like myself to go buy it and to make it worth it again for somebody, right? But no one's doing that. I don't see a lot of people doing that. And,
that is your niche, right? You're really creating new opportunities, and I like that you're taking quite a bit of risk. But as you said, you're investing the money and creating.
Absolutely. It's calculated risk, is because I have 11 years of experience. I bought my first house when I was 22, and then when I was 24. I went back to buy my second house, and one bank advised me not to. That's the house that they just trashed. That was like 9 years ago or something that I bought it, but they had told me, don't get it. It's you're taking on too much. But my other bank was like, okay, we'll do it. And so now I bought that for $160, and I can sell it tomorrow for like $499. It's a triplex with a huge shop in the back. So I mean, you can just see the appreciation. And not only that, it's not like I had to put a ton of money into it in those 9 years, because they normally should self-sustain. If you don't get shitty tenants, they should 100% self-sustain until someone comes and messes your stuff up. And now it's like, all right, great. I got to put all that money I just made in the little rent in the last 2 years, and now I got to sink it back into it. But people don't see that part of it. I got to hire cleaners, and I started a contracting business as well. So now we got the housing business, the contracting business, and now we just bought a building and that we're opening up our office. So we're going to try to go a little bit bigger and bring a little bit more commerce to Rupert, bring more housing, bring opportunity, and not in the form of the bigger corporations.
Right.
Yeah,
No, and that's what I think that you're doing really well. You're creating new jobs, you're creating new housing, right? From
that
basically renovating the existing that no one would get
exactly.
you to put money into, right? And
Absolutely. And that makes the town look better too. It's like I'm taking their shitty things and making them better.
yeah,
And no, it's not like I'm getting, and all I get is like, no, there's no appreciation in it from like the actual people, right? The appreciation is from the asset appreciating.
yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, and I think that maybe this is one thing that I wanted to also talk to you about, because you go through these almost up and downs, right? Like things could go really well,
All the time. Very
and then and then you find out that this guy, right? You walk into this place that you paying mortgage on, and you see, oh
yeah,
my God,
exactly.
right? Like
That's
this
the
looks
thing.
a mess.
Yes, and that this gets disheartening, but there comes a time in life when it's just an asset. Yeah, I look at it just as like a stock. Stocks go up and down.
Yeah,
So when the stock's bad, we'll just put it's that disaster house that just messed up. But when it's good, no, for real,
yeah,
right? And so when that's the volatility at the peak, everything's great. Oh, house is great, rented out, money's coming in. Oh, it just appreciated 50 G's this year. Great. But then you get the volatility. Shit, someone messed it up. All
yeah,
right, now we're on a downtrend, but now we got to get it back up. And now, we're back there again until the next person comes up and messes it up.
yeah.
It's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle, but over time, it's just it's gonna create so much generational wealth for myself that
Yeah.
I can't say no to it. And now I'm looking for deals. I go into every deal I look at is like 30 to 35% off. There's a coupon, except for this is for a building.
Yeah,
And
you're
so
very
now,
good in finding good deals. I'm always,
yeah, we're finding really good deals. So that's a lot of find good deals, unlock that income, and now use that income to buy more rentals.
yeah,
And what did you have to do? Just find a good deal. That's it. Literally find a good deal, unlock
the equity, right?
the equity, buying power. It's leveraging, right? So
Yeah,
you buy something bringing in $10,000 a month, but you're getting it at $600,000 valuation. Well, you know what? It doesn't take a 10 G's to pay off a $600,000 mortgage.
that's right.
So those kind of deals, you just look at it more of an evaluation standard, not even the physical asset, but just on paper, the balance sheet side, where
Yeah.
it's okay. This brings in 10. It's in the form of a fourplex, and it only costing 600 something. And now you can go back to the bank and say, yo, this brings in 10. Hit me up with the new evaluation.
Yeah,
And now money is just created out of thin air. And now use that
yeah,
for the next one that's 30% off.
yeah,
And so it's a cycle you create once you have enough.
yeah,
And that's when the exponential growth happens. So now, you only have to be able to obtain one property every couple of years. Now it became 2 in a year. Now
yeah,
it might be 50 in 1 year. Next year it might be 150 because we know the formula is there. It's
yeah.
simple. And
Yeah. So tell me how when you look at a property, what is important for you? So the potential
the
income.
potential, like the number one is, does it have good guts? Everything else is decorative. Everything else is drywall, everything. That's so easy to do, right? They teach people to do this in school. So as a contractor, all you do is delegate. Literally, all you do is delegate. So make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Don't there's going to be hidden stuff behind walls and stuff like that. You gotta take into account that if it has good bones, anything can be done. You can literally anything could be done. So, and if it's bringing in money, so when I looked at that, it was only a duplex, but because it has an in-law suite with an outdoor access plus inside they can shut it off. I made it into a triplex with shared laundry. So now you can actually, so yeah, you can. I mean, what is the city gonna do? Say no, we're gonna take housing away, Dave. Like we'll just hush hush. There's stuff you can just get away with just because it's common sense, guys. Right? It's like not everything
So
is pen
being
to paper.
creative and maybe bending the rules a little bit, we might.
You have to bend the, if you don't bend the rules, you cannot get far in the corporate world. 100%. I bend the rules. Every deal I do, I bend the rules. There's not a single deal I've never done that I didn't bend the rules. I'll tell you that much.
That's awesome. No, I think you have to. Yeah, I mean,
It's
and it
just
works for
part
you,
of the
right?
game, and it worked out for the latest one didn't work out. I quit my job too soon, and they called my employer, and I had these two deals set, and I was getting funding off of it based on my
Income.
employment and this that.
Well, there's a
Well,
lesson to be learned.
yeah, lesson to be learned. Don't quit your job when you have deals in play, and because they're gonna call your employer.
Yeah, and I think that's a fairly new thing because they really didn't do that in the past as much once you kind of.
Yeah, they never did that ever. And this is the
Yeah.
first time I took a gamble. I lost that gamble. And then I had to come up with 100% liquidity, which I did through stuff. So, yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. Right?
Yeah, that's yeah, I had three clients, and that's one of the like, and we had a meeting with our mortgage brokers we were working with, and
Yeah.
wish I would have mentioned that to you, but yeah, it's essentially now they're checking because of COVID and everything is changing.
Oh, makes sense. They got protection on their end.
Yeah, they're calling on before completion day or on completion day, and they're checking with the employer to make sure that you still have the full.
Yeah, they didn't do that. They didn't do that before.
No, it's
You know?
it's last I would say 6 months, maybe a little over than 6 months.
Okay.
And
Yeah, so they did that to me, and I got yeah, that's just part of the volatility, you know, volatility.
yeah, no, it's you got to learn how to go through the ups and how to.
Yeah, you have to be able to stomach like, hey, you might, if you're gonna get into the landlord business, someone's gonna trash your house. You have to be able to stomach the whole place getting filled with water, or the you know, you have to be able to stomach this stuff, or it's something that you're gonna always try to nickel and dime, and you can't nickel and dime in the housing industry. You really can't.
Yeah, and I think the most frustrating thing is when you renovate it, right? And you put all this, you fix it up, and then here it goes again, right?
And yeah, it's so disheartening. But then I think about, it's like, oh, that's okay. We just lost it in sports the other day, so it's like we can just take it back. So the gambling mentality is like, it's just another bet, you know.
Yeah, and I think with real estate, the nice thing is about you actually own something, right? And even if it gets trashed, I mean, you invest some money into it, but you still,
it's still yours.
Yeah, it's still yours, and it's with the appreciation now and I guess asset inflation that we've seen.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
You putting, this is what I love about real estate, you're putting 20% down when you're buying another property, right? Usually when it's investment, you got to go at least with 20%.
That's
so
right.
Let's say you're buying it for $500,000, so you put 20% down, but if the market goes up 10%, you're not making 10% on the 20 that you put down.
You're making 10% on the 5. Yeah, absolutely. That's what people don't understand. And you can just do that even by your hands alone, by buying something, right? You buy something and it looks one way, your hands can make it look another way. All of a sudden, that's you only spent 30 G's, but now the value of it has increased by 100. And you know, and to start off, it's a great way to do it, is to get a little fixer upper that can be turned into a rental. And now you fix it up, turn it into a rental, and now take the appreciation that happened because of fixing it up. And now you got liquidity coming in, right? The banks will say, okay, you bought this house for 200, you put 50 into it, it's actually worth 4 now. And now where's that extra 150? You can go to the bank and get 80% of it. And now you're like, yo, I'm gonna go buy a truck or whatever, right? Like that's the easiest way to do it. But smartest way would be take that extra money and now go buy another rental, do the same thing. And now it's just a continuous cycle. And now it's like, shit, I got that many rentals, and now money's coming in, and now you know, do that for 5 years straight. In 5 years time, you'll be on a different planet. You'll be
I think what I really like what you said there is because for most people the house is a liability, right? They have to pay their mortgage. But
Yes.
what you're doing is you're creating assets by having the income from the rental properties.
Absolutely, and I upkeep my stuff, but and the thing is, I sink money into it. You know, one year we did like 5 roofs on 5 different houses, and
Yeah,
that doesn't cost that in Rupert. That's
that's
expensive,
a lot of money. Yeah.
right? I had another job lined up. I bought all the material, and my contractor stole all my material, and I already paid him. Yeah, and it's a local guy, and he did a full house for me before. He did 3 roofs for me. It's like he says, okay, he says he lost it. How do you lose a full house roof?
Shingles.
How do you lose it? What? How do you
Oh,
lose
the truck.
plywood, the sheets, and all the shingles?
Oh
And
my God.
oh, you lost it. Okay, it was stolen.
Oh my God, that
Yeah,
is great.
that's another thing. You trust people, and then that stuff happens. And I was in Vancouver at the time when they got stolen.
Yeah, so it's not just the tenants you got to deal with.
No, it's the it's everybody. It's the tenants, the contractors, the tenancy act. It's the police. It's literally it's hard to
Yeah.
do it at a full blown scale. People don't understand. People like the stress we have to take. Some days I come home, I'm like, all right, just soldier up. It's just what am I supposed to do?
So David, let's get if there's someone that's listening and thinking about, hey, I want to do what you're doing. I want to have,
Absolutely.
10, 15, 20, 50 or whatever properties in the next future or near future. What would you say? Like, how did you start? What would be the lessons?
You gotta the 100%. You gotta grind and make money first, right? You have to show credibility, and you have to have an income source where you can sustain a rental property, right? Because at any given time something can happen, so you have to have liquidity somewhere. But get yourself enough money. Don't use your 5% home buyers. Go down, put the 20% down, and hopefully never have to touch that property again. Within a few years it'll have appreciated, hopefully, to a greater value. And now as tenants move out, rents go up, and so you're still in it for the initial amount, but your rents are going up, the value of the house is going up, but you are still in it for the initial amount. So but to get into it at the beginning is you have to have money management. You have to, I went all in on my first house, then I went to grind it again, then I went pretty much all in on my second house because I gamble a lot. So if I have liquidity, it's probably not the best thing. So when I get a little bit too much liquidity, we buy a house.
Yeah,
That's exactly like when I was 22. That's what happened. Is if I have enough money, I want to get rid of it.
right.
That's
So
just
invested rather
rather
spend.
than gamble it away or just spend it, whatever. So that was my mentality going into it. Is let's just grind, make enough, boom. And now all of a sudden, when I first went into it, those were pensions. Like each house is a pension in itself. So when I was 55 or 60 and I was going to retire, I'd have 10 houses, but all 10 houses would be paid off. So it's like I'll get my pension from my employer, and then I'll get my pension from all 10 houses I own too. And so now I've got all these hands that are feeding me money.
Yeah.
And so that was the intention until I quit my job. So now we're going to do, we don't have that pension, and I don't believe in pensions anymore anyways, but I just believe in investing. It's just like a recipe in my head where it's just, I've done it so many times and I've delegated everything to everyone else, is that, I can just do it while I'm just, laying in bed. You can do all this stuff by literally your phone.
Yeah.
Everything docu-signed. Sometimes so the building I only saw once before I bought it. The fourplex, I put in an all cash offer. There's the trailer, I put in an all cash offer. The one on Third West, I got a free lot with it.
That's another podcast.
That's another podcast. I got a free lot with that one, and I went all cash in that one too. So I sold one house and went all cash into 3 different investments.
Nice.
and which were cash flow positive. So then they sustain themselves instead of a liability that I had, which was my own house. I sold that and I put it into 3 assets that bring in money. So I got rid of one and then right. So that was it's just literally you can just it's pen to paper. You can write it down. Now you just gotta go find what you wrote in the physical asset.
Yeah, no, I love it. And we've done kind of the same thing, but
Absolutely.
you've done it on the bigger scale, right? And we renovated our first house and find out, we were paying it off, and now what? Like we don't really have anything that produces money, right? And it starts thinking about money differently instead of like, putting in a safe place. How can you multiply it? How can you have something else making you money while you're working, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It gives you that option, right? So now we have one property that is paying for itself, right? And you just invested the 20% down, and then we've, as you said, right?
And then we go grind again, get another 20%, and go put it on the next one. Yeah, that was big. That was simply the formula that I went off of was grind enough till you have 20%, put it down.
Yeah, because from our first house that we renovated, we bought 2 other properties.
Right? Exactly, right? And then it gets easier. The thing is, people don't understand. Initially, it's hard.
Yeah.
But over time, it gets easier as you're doing it more often, and then you come to a level where it's like it's like the back of your hand. You call the mortgage lender. You say, I want to get this. I have enough equity over here to put down on that one that they don't even have to touch anything that you own. Like anything you actually have like a liquidity, you don't even have to touch it because the simple fact of appreciation and asset inflation.
Nice.
Right. If all the other houses are selling at crazy prices, but you got in at a good price, well, you know what? You can sell it for a crazy price too.
Yeah. And then
or go get more money.
Selling it, right? You rent it and you use the equity to buy more.
Use the equity, leverage is in finance. Leverage is huge. So my personal house, I bought it like 18 months ago for like $695, but now the house up the street, which is less square footage, less one level, sold for $920. And I'm thinking, I'm like, well, that's great. Let's use some of that. Now I can go to the bank and be like, yo, I got there should be like 1.1. I only owe like this much. Hook me up with that money that just got created out of thin air. It really does get created. I never asked for it to. It's just because asset inflation and inflation in general.
Yeah, no, 100% agree, right? And that's what I think it's why we're seeing what we're seeing too, right? Because lots of people are using the equity to buy more and more.
That's right. And people, they don't understand, like, take on more debt. If it's an asset, take on more debt. If someone today was like, hey, I'll give you 20 million, I'd say, hey, give me 30. And with, I'll take on as much debt as I can, as long as it's all self-sustaining. Yeah, and it's so cheap to take it on, and everyone's always running to pay off their mortgage. They don't get it. Like if it's sustaining it, ask for more.
Yeah, because if you're paying off your mortgage, that's great. Right now, like you paid it off, but there is no money machine that is being created on the
nothing other than your job. So your house is usually taken care of from your job. So now those both go together. You can't really use that in the terms of rentals. So now you have to go after something that's actually going to make you money, not something that's just going to, great. It's a good spot to live. But that's why a lot of successful entrepreneurs and stuff, they choose to rent because it's like no headache. $1,500, get yourself a house or whatever, $2,000, get yourself a house. You only have to pay 24 grand that year. No headache at all. And a lot of people do that, but that's when they want to live for themselves, because it's cheaper to do that than to take on a huge liability and pay it off. Now you're just taking off someone else's and you're like, hey, I'll give you 24 for the year or whatever. Right. And it's like, okay, well, that's it doesn't even count any towards my income now. It's just, that's on their end.
Yeah. So what's your vision, David? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I feel like my vision is to at least own like triple digits by 5 years.
5 years.
Triple digits. 5 years. 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 in Rupert, absolutely. Now the exponential growth is slowly gonna start happening as you know. It was harder when you have to work for someone else, but now
Yeah.
that I don't have to work for someone else, is in 5 years time, I want Tilt Housing to be like a household name. I want Tilt Ventures in Rupert to be like a really big. I want to bring business, housing opportunities, and just knowledge to individuals that they don't know, and people don't tell them like where do you go to learn this stuff. A lot of people keep this stuff inside because they don't want people to know. That's the thing is like today is a really crazy world. A lot of people don't want people to know the ins and outs.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's also, not for everyone, right? Not everyone.
It is not. No, if you have a very, very low risk tolerance, don't do it. Don't just walk away. Go put yourself into like an index fund or a mutual fund or something. Like, don't even do this. Let someone else just. You know what? We're gonna have a hedge fund. Just give me your money. I'll give you a return.
Yeah, put it in the government bonds, eh? And
Put it into government bonds.
no, that's awesome. No, that was a real treat. So look forward to hearing more from you, and hopefully
Absolutely. We got big things coming, so we'll do it again in like a few months time, and maybe we'll have another
Hey, on the next one we got to talk about how we can
how you get free stuff, guys. We'll talk about that and how it's not always the best to get subject to inspection, because there's a lot of stuff can we'll talk about the subjects, like what going in subject free sometimes not so bad. Not people start second guessing after the way I've done business is I've always planted a seed, and then I've gotten a deal.
So what are you saying is like you're committed, right? Once you
I absolutely just be committed. That's it. Just don't second guess. Don't second guess. If you think, go with your gut instinct. If you think that really that like, just do it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a you can suggest that. I'm not able to suggest that we always.
I know I suggest it because you can. It's not doesn't work for you, but on my end, that's why I'm not a realtor. That's why I never went. That's why I chose not to be a realtor. Chose not to be a property manager, although I am because I own my own properties, but I didn't go to school for it.
Yeah.
So
no, it's
cut corners.
Then you can do those things and suggest, but it's like, yeah, I mean, I now with the market like it is, we see it all the time. No subjects, no conditions.
Absolutely, because it's crazy. I know, and the one thing over here in Canada, it sucks that a lot of foreign people will just buy and sit on stuff, and so it doesn't really help anybody. Except the people on the other end that are living, in different continent probably. And so it gets frustrating sometimes. It can get frustrating because that'll drive prices up and you'll just have vacant places, right?
Yeah, because they see it as an investment. It's a different strategy, right?
It's a different strategy. It's a completely different strategy, and it's on a bigger scale. Something like, we're only like on a small scale. There's still so many bigger scales up top above us, and it's like, one day we will get to those levels. It's just the process.
Yeah.
And so
tell me last thing. I saw you have your tilt.
This one here.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
There's a new venturing company that I opened up in Prince Rupert, and it's in an investment company, and it's like investing in myself, which is like the process, the success that has followed, and I'm gonna keep sustaining that. Like I've outgrown this town. Like I can sell everything, and we can come to Kelowna and go to the wineries every weekend, Michael. Right? Like we can do that, but I have a bigger vision for Rupert, and it's like we need A&Ws, we need IHOPs, we need more walk-in clinics.
Yeah, and
ain't nobody doing it. Nobody's doing it. So Tilt Ventures is taking the lead.
And tell me about the logo.
The logo it represents my my family. This one, it's not printed in white, but it's supposed to be white. it's a koi fish after my daughter Koya, a sun after my son Himmat, which means courage in my language, and then the capital L represents my wife Lena, and Tilt. I'm just known as Tilt since you know elementary because we got our volatility in our lives. Michael, you know it's up and down. It gets pretty crazy. So
Yeah.
that's basically it's the family, but the four of us
Yeah.
in this logo, and we're gonna be giving back to Prince Rupert. And I have huge visions because I want to give back to the schools. I want to give back to just places. As I grow, the town will grow. That's all it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, absolutely love it, man. Thanks for your time. And